Mike, you were up at Happy Valley yesterday at the beginning of spring practice. Somebody, one of our coworkers, just said, well, how does this compare to other spring practices? And you got a big grin. You weren't allowed at the spring practices before, were you?
There was zero access in the past, and we actually had a press conference with the head coach, and then we were allowed to watch about the first 35 minutes of their first spring practice. I wish it would have been a little warmer. It was freezing up there, but anyway.
Oh, beggars can't be choosers.
Yeah, I know.
All right, a little bit of inside baseball information here. First of all, tell them about the weight room, and I want to talk about somebody else. I'm going to set you up for somebody else that was there. It's sort of you, a kid in a candy store, I think, with you. First, talk about the weight room. So you had the press conferences at 1 o'clock, and then you had time to sort of meet with the strength coach,
yeah,
right?
we had time to meet with the strength coach, and he gave us a little tour. The weight room is going to be, he said it's going to be the best in the country. I mean, you expect him to say that, but it's going to, they're nowhere near what it's going to be. The equipment won't arrive until May, they said. So they're making do a little bit, but it's a dramatic change in the way they do conditioning and strength training. They're going more to power lifts, more to the kind of lifting that you think would be suited to the explosive, powerful movements that football is for. And Penn State has been much criticized for their strength training over the years, and this is a dramatic change. And it's not fully in place yet, but they're already, they say, seeing some benefits from it.
Okay, I want to bring up this one name first before we get into your story. Curtis Drake. We've talked about the Drake over the years. A very talented, athletic wide receiver. I was shocked when I hearing O'Brien at a press conference mentioning moving him to defensive back. They're moving him to secondary.
And right after he said that, he talked a little bit in general about how this is the kind of thing you do in spring practice. We might put him at cornerback for 5 practices and then move him somewhere else. It seems a little funny that you don't. You want. It seems to me like you want to get this kid on the field, touching the ball with a chance to make offensive plays. It seems that way to me. Now, he is a good enough athlete that it makes some sense for him to play cornerback too. But it seems to me to make more sense to make him an offensive, a really dynamic offensive playmaker.
I would think they're short at the defensive cornerbacks. They don't have a lot of secondary. They could use his help there.
And he said, O'Brien actually said, we want to make sure guys get reps. I mean, we don't have enough players in the defensive back right now to really run practice the way we want to. So it almost sounded like it's not necessarily a permanent thing, but still.
Let me ask you about something that could be permanent. You're sitting on the sideline looking around, and I've seen the picture of this guy wearing a windbreaker. I'm talking about Danny O'Brien, who has been at the University of Maryland for 2 years. Phenomenal numbers as a freshman. So last year they changed the offense on him. Tell me the story. You saw Danny O'Brien. You wanted to make sure, and then.
Well, we were all wondering. I mean, somebody said, I think that's him, and we weren't sure. And one of my old friends, who was a journalism professor up there, kind of sent one of his students up to just like kind of an assignment, go up and see if that's really him. And then
a female student.
A female student. She kind of confirmed that it was indeed him. And then we went up and talked to him, and he didn't want to comment. He said, I don't want to get anybody in trouble. I'm still figuring things out. And that was as much as we got as far as a quote from him. But it seems strange to me that he's going to be there. He's going to be visiting on the one day of spring practice where the media is invited to be standing there, and he's got this Penn State windbreaker on, and it feels like he's coming to Penn State, which I think can only be a positive development.
I was going to say, tell us a little bit more. He's about to graduate from Maryland after only 2 years, and he has 2 years of eligibility, correct?
2 years of eligibility, and he's using this NCAA rule that allows you, if you graduate and you want to enter a graduate program in that the school you're at now doesn't offer, you can transfer and you can play immediately as soon as you transfer. So that's the rule that they're taking advantage of here.
You must be you're well versed in this rule, because there was another O'Brien, a guy from Garden Spot. Was it Todd O'Brien? Who's at St. Joe's, who tried to use the same rule. Didn't work.
Yeah, that's the other thing. The coach has to sign off on it. I mean, the coach has to sign off on the transfer.
And Randy Edsall, who came from UConn, he's been only at Maryland, I think it was only his second year, has really alienated a lot of people at Maryland, and one of them was this quarterback. But he had a list of teams that he would not sign off on, and one of them was Vanderbilt, correct?
One of them was Vanderbilt, because the offensive coordinator at Maryland from 2 years ago is now the head coach at Vanderbilt, and supposedly had a great relationship with O'Brien.
So O'Brien would have gone there in a heartbeat.
I think his decision would have been made if Edsall would have allowed him to go to Vanderbilt, but I guess that's sort of spiteful thing or whatever it is has opened up this opportunity for
Not
Penn
a done deal yet, but Penn State looks like he's wearing a windbreaker, and you've also got it's Wisconsin and Penn State in the running right now, really. But he's wearing a windbreaker with Penn State on it. Their first spring practice, pretty good sign. Anything else from the first spring practice that's jump out at you?
Well, it's funny. New coaches always say it's a clean slate. All the competition for jobs is open, and as soon as they started doing like a whole unit drills, it looked to me like the first string offense was pretty much together there with Matt McGloin at quarterback and so forth. So that was interesting. It looks like Dakota Royer, is our kid from Manheim Central, is going to get a look at that sort of H-back / tight end position, which he has moved from defense too. So it's in flux, and certainly we have much more access. I mean, we wouldn't have been able to talk about this stuff a year ago with Joe Pa. It really is sort of a brave new world up at Penn State.